It's 7-0 through the first couple drives, but as you text me, they're better at basically it felt like every position. It felt like a huge mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
But like right around the corner was halftime, and the score was 7-3. So you're like, yeah, I mean, I've seen this dog and pony show before. You can quote unquote outplay someone. Obviously, the division's on the line, 7-3, and all of a sudden you're like, you go to halftime, some weird shit happens, and this game's a little too close for what I've been watching. And then the fumble. The moment the fumble scoop that led to the Christian McCaffrey touchdown, I don't want to say it felt like the NFC West was over at that moment, but it kind of did a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it was like, does Seattle have 15 points in them tonight? It's 14-3, and it's like, I don't know.
Well, they weren't about to stop slowing down the 49ers pass rush, which they didn't. That to me was the most obvious thing, right? When the game started, they could not block the 49ers. Couldn't do it.
No.
Could not do it. And it wasn't sacks necessarily. It was multiple balls got tipped as Geno was throwing it. The play that DK Metcalf got called for the offensive PI when he grabbed Mooney Ward and pulled him down but made the catch. Bosa was about as close to a strip sack without getting a strip sack as you could possibly be. Bosa, shout out to, is it Charles Cross, the right tackle?
Yeah.
I think he gets half a sack for the one that Bosa, when he jumped on Geno with like one arm through Cross and one arm around Geno Smith.
You know what's crazy? I think he's been one of the better rookies of the season. Like, I think John Schneider's gotten a lot of credit for drafting his 2 tackles. Like, those rookie guys, I think they've been pretty good throughout the year. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but there probably is a ceiling on your team if you're starting 2 rookie tackles, and then you play in this game and you have to win this game, and then you get behind. The Niners basically they pass rushed like they were up 14 points the whole game.
You know what's weird is I usually watch Thursday night very negatively, like I love Herb Street. Like, I would like to hang out with him. I'd like to play golf with him. I'd like to have some beers and like bullshit with him. I really don't enjoy him that much with the whole experience. But tonight I don't know. They didn't get in my way. The game was happening. I was more just locked in on like Niners Seattle. And I thought Herb Street said his most insightful thing this entire season when he's like, it's probably halfway through the second half. He's like, Bosa's figured this guy out and he's got no chance.
Yeah.
And Nick was like a master of his craft that was just kind of figuring him out. Obviously, you have less prep time, rookie, so you don't have a long book on the guy. And by the second half, like inside, outside, Charles Cross, like, what the fuck is going on here? This is not, I don't even know where, I think he's Mississippi State, actually. But he had no chance. And then they started kind of helping him out. But then like Ebicam and fucking Armstead would come from the other side and they'd be twisting and stunning. And it was a wrap. It was a wrap. And then even if you complete a ball, and usually it's somewhat of a dump off, Greenlaw and Fred Warner, again, it's not quite as violent. And they're not Willis and Bowman in their prime. I mean, those two are like, I didn't watch like Mike Singletary in his prime. I watched a little Ray Lewis. Like they were Hall of Fame, peak Hall of Famer levels in their prime. The next tier down, which is an incredible tier, it's kind of where I view those guys are, and they're kicking ass and taking names. You agree? Like they're not. I don't put that combo.
Greenlaw and Fred Warner, or Bowman and.
I'm talking Greenlaw and Fred Warner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put Willis and I'd put Willis and Bowman when they're both in their peaks together better.
Yeah.
They just felt a little quick twitch faster, probably a little more violent. And again, these guys are violent. But and I'm not trying to diminish what my point is. Like,
but those guys were whether they have Hall of Fame careers.
It's like football heaven of linebacking players.
Those guys are Hall of Fame level players, I think. I mean, Willis,
yeah,
and
Bowman Willis might get in.
Yeah, so I think, yeah,
they're in that little mode though. Like the two of them together are just they make every tackle and they just crush guys.
I just
Greenlaw probably consistently hits harder than Fred.
Well, Greenlaw forced the fumble today. Greenlaw had multiple big hits.
Yeah,
in the game,
monster.
And he's not even. He turns 26, I think, in May. So he's just in his prime. The 49ers are the first team to win their division in the NFL this year. There's only one other team in the league that has clinched a playoff spot: the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are the only two. And obviously, this is somewhat dependent on your division, but they've
aided by the second best team, 7-7 now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but they've dominated their division. They've beat everybody's. They've what did I say? Clap those cheeks or whatever that I said earlier in the division. They swept Seattle for the first time since 2011. They won 7 straight games. They did it with Brock Purdy. They did it with Debo hurt. They did it on a short week in Seattle.
Honestly, guy destroyed Seattle this year,
And it
right?
was destroyed Seattle, absolutely. And both games they've played were shorthanded shorthanded in the sense that like Trey got hurt in the first game. Both, it's not like both games everything's gone perfect.
Thursday road game, that's a huge advantage for the home team in December.
Exactly. It's just wild to me, for as stressful as at times their season has been for them, how easily it just feels they just won their division and punched a playoff ticket.
Well, we talked about this last year. The biggest difference to me this year than last year, they went 2-4 in their division. Seattle swept them. They won the 2 Rams game, and Arizona swept them. And one of the Arizona games felt like a huge kick in the dick because it was Colt McCoy, and he destroyed them.
Yeah.
Well, think about this year. They're not just 5-0 in the division. They fucking dominated. I forget the Rams score, but like when I was being sarcastic about the Chiefs, if you said what did they beat the Cardinals in Mexico by, I'd be like 47-10. That was an ass kicking. They destroyed the Rams, and obviously they destroyed Seattle. So in their 5 games, they're not just, to me, it's like 5-0 in the division. You could win every game by 1 point, and you'd be like, hell yeah. They have killed these teams. Now, the Rams are limping. You do what you're supposed to do, but we've seen them beat the Rams when they were a Super Bowl team, right? And Seattle, to me, Seattle feels like Seattle could have been a 3-win team or could have been a 10-win team. Like, I take them seriously. And I'd say every Niner fan does. You just do. They feel like the type division rival where you just know, like, get ready for a game, regardless what team's good or bad. And the Niners shoved them around this year big time. And it might be a little bit, like you said, because the front dominated them and their advantages, the defensive line, they have young players up front. It might just be as simple as, like, tonight they were kind of running on fumes. The Niners fucking exposed them in terms of ran the ball right down their throat, a lot like it happened to them last week. And maybe just Seattle overall. I mean, let's face it, like, to me, they're a lot like the Giants. They have an impressive 7-7. Most people pick them, including myself, to be like a team drafting in the top 5. They have had a
which they are
year. Yeah, exactly.
Just Denver's pick.
Do you know Denver's record?
3 wins?
3-10. When you say it out loud, it sounds really bad. You're like 3-10.
We talked about this the other day, John, and it's funny. You look at the box score, 21-13 tonight does not tell the story, but they just blew out Tampa 35-7. The week before that, they blew out Miami 33-17. The week before that wasn't a blowout, felt kind of sketchy, but they did beat the Saints by 13 points. The week before that, they beat the Cardinals in Mexico City by 28, 38-10. Week before that was the Charger game. Week before that, they blew out the Rams. So, and again, this is a little hard to categorize because the Saints game was at risk for sure. That game was at risk at times. But basically, since the Chiefs game, you could argue, had 6 blowout wins, at minimum 5 blowout wins, probably. It's pretty incredible. They played this week, Thursday, obviously, so they are a game ahead. They've played more games. They've played 14 games because the 49ers are 10-4. Buffalo's played 13. The Eagles have played 13, and the Cowboys have played 13. But those are the 4 teams in the league: Cowboys, Eagles, Niners, and Bills, with a point differential over 120 points. In fact, Kansas City's only 86, plus 86. The Niners are plus 128. The Cowboys are plus 131. The Bills are plus 132, and the Eagles are plus 138. And again, those teams have played 1 less game, so that number can jump again. But at worst, they'll probably, no one's really close to them. So even after this weekend, the Niners will have probably the 4th best point differential in the league at worst.
Well, here's what I know. If they're not able to catch Minnesota, if they're just able to keep that cushion, I think, assuming that that's the second round game, the Niners and Minnesota win that first round, the Niners might be favored in that game on the road. I mean, the Lions just were favored at home, and they were 5-7 against a 10-3 team. Would it shock you if it was like Niners -1?
No. Because what are people, if you just approach it from what is the public going to do when they have a chance to bet?
Hammer the Niners.
I don't know if you saw, this guy sent me his bet slip tonight, Canadian dollars, but he bet 70 American dollars Yeah, to win 7,000 is no, it was 36 American to win 7,000. He had Kittle over 45 receiving yards, Kittle 2 touchdowns, Juice a touchdown anytime. He needed a use check touchdown tonight, didn't get it.
To make
And there
what?
was a play, the all 22 will show. There was a play where Juice was wide ass open today on the backside, and Purdy threw it into the flat to the right to Ayuk. Haberman live tape study, because Amazon doesn't let me watch the game broadcast on 2 screens, so I had to go, the all 22 broadcast. I didn't hate it. It was good.
It's not bad. It gives you some good angles, doesn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good analytics. Like, there was some. I pulled a defensive number we'll use in the show, but
Hashtag streaming.
They've won the NFC on December 15th.
West.
NFC West. Thank you. They won the NFC West on December 15th.
I do think it's fair to say they're the second best team right now in the NFC. I think the Eagles have earned it, like, start to finish. They're the best team. They're going to have home field advantage. But I think the Niners, like, we all agree they're better than Minnesota. And the only team is the Cowboys, who I think are also better than Minnesota. But we saw that. Now, I think the Cowboys are better than last year. But, like, one of their disadvantages is, like, Dak is not some mobile quarterback at this point. Like, after the injury, he's really much more like a pocket quarterback. And we saw how that went last year against the Niners. Like, Jalen Hurts is the type guy that the Niners, he's giving everyone problems. I mean, he's going to win the MVP more than likely. But, like, when Jimmy went down and Purdy played that game 2 weeks ago, I was one of the first guys. Like, my first take was, kind of sucks. Probably can't make the Super Bowl. Can't win the NFC. I take that back. I do believe, like, they got a chance in all these games in the playoffs. Like, I'm not going into the playoffs. I had no faith last year. I thought they could beat the Cowboys. And not in a million fucking years I think we're going to win the Packer game. I mean, hell, throughout that Packer game, I never thought they were going to win it. But I'm going to go into games. Obviously, they're going to be favored. I mean, they got a home playoff game. And then depending on how the seeding shakes out, like, kind of expect this team to be in the NFC Championship game, okay? That's where I'm at now. Like, then it's on the road at Philly. If they're a 16-1 team and they just beat the shit out of whoever in the second round, they're clearly going to be good. Who knows? Maybe Cowboys upset them and you got to fucking host the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. And then the Niners are favored.
Right.
But my point is, like, this team can compete to win the NFC in a week and a half. I think most people, we were all kind of shell-shocked once Brock Purdy, 7th rounder, comes in, but they not only haven't skipped a beat, it's felt like they've gotten closer together. It's like they rallied.